was instigated by a CIA agent. And it was set up to be divisive against the black woman and the black man. And if you look at the deterioration of the black family, then you can start it off with the feminist movement.
The 1970s was a defining decade for contemporary black feminism. African American women across a diversity of fields stepped forward to demand that attention be paid to the double burden of being black and female.
For the first time that we know of, there are fewer females on Earth than males. But it's also true that violence against females is the biggest indicator of all other violence.
To the traditional American family, a threat that is just as dangerous and even more insidious. The threat of the women's liberation movement. Let me be clear. I am not against women succeeding. I am not against women working outside the home. That's their choice. But what I am against is a small, elitist group of Northeastern establishment liberals putting down homemakers. Now, the libbers love to say that they're dedicated to choice. But if you dare to choose the path of full-time mother, well, there must be something wrong with you.
Our good elder, Shahrazad Ali, 30 years ago said, Black women jumped on the bandwagon of feminism. Feminism was about white women having issues with white men. It had absolutely nothing to do with the black family.
Because you see, the women's liberation movement is basically a very negative attitude toward life. It tells women, sister, the cards are stacked against you. When you wake up in the morning, you won't get a job. And if you do, it won't be a good one. And if you get a good one, you won't get promoted. If you get married, your husband will treat you like a servant. And marriage is just a lot of dirty diapers and dirty dishes. But don't take my word for it. Read their own literature. Betty Friedan, mother of the movement, wrote in The Feminine Mystique that marriage is, and I quote, a comfortable concentration camp. But it is not enough that they're demeaning us in the press. Oh no. Now they want to use our miraculous Constitution to create a sex-neutral society through this so-called Equal Rights Amendment, which will mean that that baby girl will be drafted. And the men will be at home nursing the babies. I mean, can you imagine if Buck was left in charge of your children?
Oh, God help us.
That's right. It's ridiculous, and it's downright un-American. Because women are the primary caregivers in the home because we bear the children. And if the liberationists have a problem with that, they're going to have to take it up with God.
This is what Shahrazad Ali was saying 30 years ago. Everything this woman said had absolutely nothing to do with black people. Nothing. But yet, in 2023, a lot of sisters became exactly what this woman is speaking against in this clip.
We think that motherhood only lies with the biological woman. But I want to disabuse you of that. Because motherhood is a universal principle. Fatherhood is a universal principle. The masculine is a universal principle, and the feminine is a universal principle. So I don't want you to think that I'm here as a feminist. Those who are watching, the women in the Nation of Islam, we are not feminists at all.
And this is why, not just in America, not just in the Nation of Islam, but Muslims all over the world, including Nigeria, you will not see a Muslim woman have a baby without a husband. You will not see a Muslim woman disrespect her man or her husband. You will not see a Muslim woman have multiple baby daddies. You will not see a Muslim woman take a picture of her ass and post it on social media. You will not see a Muslim woman condemn, degrade, or disrespect her man.
If you look at the history of the feminist movement, it dealt with the white woman wanting to defeat the patriarchal system of the white man. She wanted to get out the house. So while she was out there marching and fighting to get out the house, who was in her house? It was the black woman taking care of her household. It was the black woman taking care of her man. It was the black woman suckling her children from the breasts when she couldn't suckle her own children. So the feminist movement had nothing to do with the black woman. And if we fast forward this feminist movement, We see that the feminist movement back in the 60s and the 70s was instigated by a CIA agent. And it was set up to be divisive against the black woman and the black man. And if you look at the deterioration of the black family, then you can start it off with the feminist movement. The Monahan report talked about the degradation of the black family. And so when you have women like Gloria Steinem, who infiltrated the college campuses and portrayed herself as an activist, and when she was able to snake her way into the women's movement, and she took the face of a black woman, she created a magazine in which she took the black woman as the face, but behind that magazine, she had all vile manners of things to say about the black man. This is the history. You can go look this up yourself.
I know you guys are asking, who in the hell is Gloria Steinem? Well, why don't we take a look?
Well, I think, economic issues, survival issues have always been the main emphasis of the women's movement, no matter how much the press has made it seem that it was about opening doors and lighting cigarettes and so on in order to brush it aside. That has never been the case. Obviously, for most women in this country, the problem is survival. Jobs that pay $15,000 a year or more, 94% are held by white males. That's a pretty effective caste system.
Pretty effective statistic.
Right. With the other 6% left over for all women and for minority men, you really began to see this pretty rough situation.
Until the women's movement came along and freed our heads and our hearts, I just assumed that you were not supposed to talk about having had an abortion or even sexual affairs. There was not a tradition that allowed us to tell the truth, and I didn't question that. I had had an abortion in England. It allowed me to live my own life, not to marry someone for whom I would have been the wrong wife and he would have been the wrong husband. I would have had a profoundly different life if I had been responsible for rearing a child.
Have a long way to go, but history is repeating itself in the sense that Black women are the single most important and influential group in the Democratic Party, just as women of color were more influential in getting the vote, if you see what I mean.
For you ladies that watch my content, did you all hear what she just said? Black women are the most influential supporters for the Democratic Party, yet no laws has been passed to protect black people. Where is our anti-black hate bill? Where's that at?
That's a heavy weight. Now, when we talk about feminism, the feminist movement was never made for the black woman.
That's all it means to be a black feminist to me, is that black women and girls get to be the centers of the story for once.
Influential writers from Angela Davis to Alice Walker and Toni Morrison wrote about gender within the context of race. Their sophisticated, powerful stories centered upon the concerns of black women and gave readers throughout the world a window onto their experiences.
So when we talk about, starting at home and starting with the black woman, there has been a systematic plan to divide and conquer the black man and the black woman.
Shaped by the work of this generation of feminists, legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw introduced the term intersectionality in 1989.
She asked us to think about different experiences of womanhood or different experiences of being black, and then to try to build policies and movements that address all of those moving pieces.
So the feminist movement has never done anything for the black woman. Because when you look at the state of the black woman, 75%, and we talk about that 75%, Sister Waikiki, is head up by the black woman. Where are the men? It was set up that way.